What's up, everybody? The V Club here, the Villain Club, coming at you with another video here on the daily. Um, it's about anything and everything. Just trying to share with you my thoughts on the things I see out there. And right now, what's making the headlines besides Sleepy Joe Biden, which I want to share a little clip of for a laugh for a moment. But that's not the subject of the video here. But just a lot of things, just whatever comes on. But the biggest thing right now is that shooter that was captured that killed the CEO of United Healthcare, and I want to look at the underlying stuff within the killer, right? Like why did he do what he do and all that stuff. And I think it's kind of fascinating and stuff that you uncover out there. It's like wow. Like, I didn't even know stuff was like this was being talked about and having discussions with other people. And it's like, oh shit, okay. So anyhow, let's just get to it. All right. The V Club, subscribe, hit the bell icon. That way we can stay on top of what we got going on daily. All right, and go from there. Let me see here. Trying to find what did I do with that clip? I found a clip. Oh, there it is. There it is. I want to see this one right here. This looks like it's gonna be a good laugh. Biden's teleprompter short circuits in speech, taking credit for lackluster rural high-speed internet. Let's see this.
To see the pandemic and the economic crisis revealed a failure for everyone to see and to feel. And one of the things that's going on here, they just turned off my. I'm going to go vomit. I lost the electricity here. But anyway, one of the things we found is that we invented the computer chip, size of the tip of your little finger, to power everyday lives, from vehicles to advanced weapons. The pandemic and the economic crisis revealed a failure for everyone to see and to feel. And one of the things that's going on here, they just turned off my. I'm going to go vomit. I lost the electricity here. But anyway, one of the things we found is that we invented the computer chip, size of the tip of your little finger, to power everyday lives, from vehicles to advanced weapons.
All right, whatever. It's funny how people got to rely on that stuff, without just speaking. Just speak, talk about stuff, right? You would think. But anyhow, let's talk about Luigi Mangione. All right, so when you look at what's transpired, right? So what we saw a few days ago was guy wearing clothing that covered everything. Then he reveals a little smile, probably flirting with a chick, whatever it was. So it kind of showed his face, right, in security cameras. And if you're in New York, they got security cameras everywhere, right? So security cameras everywhere, and he ends up being sloppy. So for being a guy that seemed to plot and plan and to carry out his little mission, right? He was sloppy at the same time because he left the bullet casings, but at the same time, maybe it was meant to be left because it had words on it, to ditch in his bag at Central Park, and then just carelessly, even though he's in Pennsylvania, he's just carelessly eating at a McDonald's like nothing's going on. Like, there's a manhunt looking for this guy, and he's just trying to blend in, thinking that no one's going to catch him, even though he's in another state, and they catch him because of his face. And I'm sure there's probably security footage all over the place that would show more of his face that you just didn't see in the media and all that. And so he ends up being captured, all right, and apprehended, and now they're trying to extradite him back to New York because that's where the killing took place. He was in Pennsylvania, next state over, and that's where it's at. All right. So a couple things that have come from that is that they're trying to fight extradition to New York. I'm going to look into why. It doesn't make sense to me, but why. And look at some other things, like the underlying factors, like what led him to do this, right? They always say there's a motive to everything, and he had a manifesto and all this other stuff. And so when you look at why, it's kind of fascinating, right? Because when you look at his background and where he's at, where how he came to be who he is as a person, his background, it's, I don't want to say it's privileged, but he has a pretty good, nice living background, right? He went to Ivy League school, you know, well off, right? Well off family, so it wasn't like he was in the poverty, he was in the poor, he wasn't anything like that at all. But he had a disdain for the system, all right? The healthcare system. And we all know that the insurance industry, it doesn't matter what industry, auto, home, healthcare, it's all a ripoff, right? Just the insurance industry in itself, it's all a ripoff. Because when you think about it, I remember when I was a kid, like I couldn't wrap my head around why we're paying insurance if we're never gonna, and if you don't ever crash, for example, right? Um, then why are we having this insurance? I know it's to help pay for other people and stuff, but then you gotta go through a process and all this other crap. But when I was a kid, I couldn't wrap my head around why are we paying insurance, and if we never crash, then we'll never see the money, right? Ever. And it's gonna help pay for other people, which is whatever. But I don't know. There should be another way though, for insurance to function instead of just collect the money, collect the money, collect the money, and then you know, because there could be people that never crash or never have an issue, right? And then what, right? It's all that money you put in over the years, year after year after year, right? Especially if you're young, you're paying into a system that you're not going to see for years, right? That it should be coming for you, in general, whether it's you know healthcare, auto, home. There should be something coming for you because of all the time and effort you put into insurance in itself. So we all know insurance companies are a ripoff. They like to raise rates. They like to do all this stuff, and all they care about is just taking money, right? So that was his disdain for the system in itself, right? But when you look deep into it, his motive and stuff, his view of the healthcare system is what triggered him. Um, let's see. Luigi was surrounded with people who cared about him. He was isolated by a spinal defect that dealt the athletic young man crippling pain and contributed to jaundiced view of the healthcare system. All right, so he had a disdain for the American healthcare system, and he foreshadowed that skepticism about the healthcare industry as he offered advice for getting a doctor to perform spinal surgery. Tell them you are unable to work, do your job. We live in a capitalistic society. I found that the medical industry responds to those key words far more urgently than you describe an unbearable pain and how it's impacting your quality of life. So what he's trying to say is that you tell the doctor, I can't work, and I need to work, I need to work to live, to survive and pay bills and all that. You say they respond more to that than just saying, I'm in so much pain, can you help fix the pain? Like I'm just in this daily pain and it's unbearable right now. I need you to help with the pain. It just hurts. Right? They don't want to hear that, is what he's trying to say. He's trying to say is, I need to get this done. I'm in pain, and if I'm in pain and it's affecting me, I can't work, and I need to work to do my job and pay bills and survive. Right? That sort of urgency, then they respond to that. Is what he's trying to say. So let's see here. It kind of reminds me of the old stories that you hear about, like that there's a saying, right? You're going postal, right? Because there was a time when postal workers would get fired, right, in the postal service, and they would go back and shoot up the place, right? Kind of reminds me of that, and it's been a saying because it's happened a lot, right? Where they get fired and they go insane or whatever, and they want to take it out on somebody or everybody, and so they go back to that workplace and shoot him up. With their gun, they bring a gun and shoot everybody, or shoot the boss, mainly the boss that fired him. And that's where that terminology "going postal" came from, right? And that just kind of reminds me of this situation, right? He's being affected by this sort of condition, and of course, he's not going to take it out on the doctor. The doctor's only following, you know, whatever they can give him based on insurance, right? So he wanted to go directly to the insurance soldier, to the CEO, and said, "I'm going to go straight for him," and he went postal on him. That's just what it is. Um, Said that Mangione's back pain was well known within the surf break community. I guess he was a surfer uh, in Honolulu, where he lived for 6 months. Right? Mangione's friends were stunned, and because they haven't been in touch with him in the last 6 months. They said that he went dark. Just kind of went dark, and kind of just did himself alone, and stayed out of everything. He just completely disappeared. Let's see. He's 24-year-old, living in Hawaii at the time, worried about his health. He struggles with back pain. He lived a charming existence, right? They said he has a wealthy family in Maryland, valedictorian at a private school in Baltimore. He has earned degrees in computer science from the University of Pennsylvania. That's probably why he went back to Pennsylvania. Mangione doesn't express anger towards United Healthcare or other. In archive comments of Reddit, he doesn't express anger towards United Healthcare or other health insurers, but the post chronicled his struggle over the years to deal with back pain that became increasingly debilitating. From childhood until age 23, my back would always ache if I stood too long, but it wasn't too bad. As he entered his mid 20s, the pain began to disrupt his life, and he struggled with cognitive issues. That's where I wanted to get to is that there's something affecting his mental state, and that's what triggered all this stuff to me. Just based on what he's saying, based on his actions, based on going dark, that you could just tell without even me reading this in the first place that there was something about him that was off mentally, right? That just the look on his face, that he looks like he's a mental basket case, just whacked out of his mind, and that's what it's showing here, right? In a Reddit group focused on brain fog, he wrote, "People around you probably won't understand your symptoms. They certainly don't for me." So in Hawaii, he exacerbated his spinal condition, probably from crashing waves and all that, or surfing and stuff. Um, he had spinal fusion surgery procedure that stabilized the spine with surgical screws in July 2023, so a year ago, and was pleased with the results. Haven't had a bad day since. Okay, and the discussion of surgery aligns with the image of an X-ray displayed on his profile on Platform X. They reviewed the image and described a lumbar spine with posterior spinal instrumentation, possible fusion. Okay, it's a common procedure for people with spondylolisthesis, a condition with the vertebra shifts forward that can cause excruciating pain in the lower back. Okay. Maggio knew that dating and being physically intimate with his back condition was impossible. That said, that he was overwhelmed, exhausted, and deferred comment. To Ryan spokesman. All right, so interesting. So sex couldn't be a thing for him. That would suck. Uh, Martin found Mangione to be a really special person. He expected to have a lifelong relationship, lifelong friendship with him, and then that was devastating. All right, so we have that. Yeah, there's something off. So, but it says right there, he was experiencing brain fog, cognitive issues, and to me, that's what driven to him to go this far deep into it. All right, but there's more to it. All right, to me, let's see what else is talked about. I feel like there's more to it. There's something still missing, you know. So, man, I hate when they do this. All right, there we go. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, so struggle with back pain, fallout from spinal surgery. He suffered from a pinched nerve. Okay, so 90% of Americans will face back pain at some point in their lives, and U.S. rate for insurance claim denials is up to 23% since 2016. So there's been a lot of denials for claims for back pain and all that. So he's being charged with forgery, carrying a firearm without a license. Because when they found his bag, they found pretty much everything there, and on his person, on his body, he had the gun on him. All right, so that's what they found on him, and that's that. All right, found fake IDs. They found all this stuff. I don't know why they call him person of interest. When they say they found the suspect, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why they do that. You know, it's just funny how media is. Um, but yeah, so that's the dude. And then when you find out more about things in general, right, about United Healthcare and what they were trying to do, it was like, wow, that's crazy. Um, for example, having a discussion, they were talking about when it comes to anesthesiology, right, where you got to put in shots for anesthesia, and every person's different, right? Because everybody has a different body size, tolerance, everything, right? So there's not one single dose that is for everybody because everybody's different. Everybody has different bodies, and when you have that, everybody has different reactions as well. Some are going to need more. Some are going to need maybe not so much when it comes to um, you know anesthesia shots, right? To numb the pain, whatever it is that is being that you're dealing with, or whether you're giving birth or injection for relief in your back, things like that. So United Healthcare, among other healthcare industries, we're talking about limiting the shot in itself to a certain dosage, and that's that, right? And that would be the limits of what the insurance would pay for it. And then from there, if you needed more, well, then you can see if the insurance will cover it, but it would have to be like out of pocket because they were trying to do a limit on the insurance payout of that. And so, in essence, it's almost like the insurance companies are trying to lessen the burden or lessen what they have to pay to cover for medical reasonings, right? And so I was just like, man, that is ridiculous when you really think about it because not one size fits all. And again, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, yeah, you might need an extra dose, you might need an extra double dose, whatever, and for the insurance company to consider that and really just try to limit what they pay because all they're in the business of is just taking in money, taking in money, taking in money, but don't want to really dole out the money when it comes to these things is a disservice to people, to life in general, right? And that's why people hate the insurance industry. Well, it doesn't matter what industry it is. You got to go through all these hoops because they keep on putting limitations, but they don't mind taking in all your money, right? They'll just take all your money, all your money, all your money, but then they're gonna do these limitations, and they'll do shit like, for example, California home insurance. A lot of companies moved out of California. They said, "Oh, it's too much money to pay." Well, it's like, well, it goes hand in hand with how California is trying to take care of themselves, which they're not, right? If there's a lot of wildfire issues but they're not trimming back growth and allowing to do things because it would help the home insurance industry and maybe help prevent home fires and possible fires and all that from wildfire. Um, you know, because of stupid things like, oh no, we can't cut the brush because it'll damage the environment. You can't do this burn because it'll smoke the air. You can't do this. You can't brush back because it endangers species and all this shit. And then next thing you know, a wildfire occurs because it's natural for shit like that to happen because you don't cut back brush, you don't do none of that shit. Then what happens? Well, you have all this wildfires, homes being destroyed, and then the insurance companies are paying out money, right? Again, they're in the business to just take your money, but they don't want to pay it out when that time comes. And then what do? You're stuck, right? So these companies say, all right, well, fuck it, we're moving out of California. We don't want to deal with this shit because we're gonna keep on losing money, even though they have a boatload of money, they're losing money. Anyhow, that's what's going on here. So going back to this whole anesthesia shots and stuff and local anesthesia, that was on the table. That really kind of brought this attention because I never even heard of that as an issue or as something that was being considered until he came about and he did his thing, killed the CEO, and you come to find out about the underlying stories about what's happening in the medical industry about things like this limitation on anesthesia shots and things like that in the name of just money. And it's like, wow, that's some fucked up shit. Is what I got to say. So yeah, and then but in the end they tabled that. They said, nah, we're not going to consider that because they got a lot of backlash with bullshit. Right? That's some bullshit. And now you have this guy. He did what he did. I think he has a mental issue. That's what I think because for him to to go through all that and then start experiencing issues as he's gotten older, as in mental issues, brain fog, and just going off line, off site, and out of mind of everybody for months, under the radar and all that stuff. I know one is possibly for plotting, but two, part of it to me is mental, and so I wouldn't doubt once this thing goes into some sort of trial that they're going to claim some sort of mental incapacity or insanity or something like that as part of his plea. Right now, they're trying to fight extradition out of Pennsylvania. I wonder why, because if they're sending him back to New York, I'm sure New York is soft anyways, and it wouldn't matter. So might as well just let him go. But I wonder why. I don't know why they want to fight his extradition. That's kind of weird to me. Let me see here if I can find that real quick before we go. I'm just curious as to why. It doesn't make any sense to me. Let's see here. Oh, he was yelling out stuff in the courtroom too when they denied his bail. He wanted to seek bail, and then I think it got denied as well. Luigi Mangione's lawyer on why they're fighting extradition. Let's find out why. Probably some
A
progressive
law enforcement
bullshit.
official who was briefed on the matter is telling us here at
Find
CNN
it kind of
that
hot
along
too.
with that three-page handwritten claim of responsibility, as the authorities are referring to it, some might refer to it as a manifesto, investigators are also
She seems
looking at a
like a
spiral
bitch.
notebook of Mangione's
She's
that included
kind of hot
to-do
too.
lists of tasks in order to facilitate a killing, as well as notes justifying those plans. In one passage about the
His lawyer
Unabomber,
said there's no
Mangione
evidence
concludes
he
that using
shot
a
the
bomb
United Healthcare
against his
CEO.
intended victim could, quote, kill innocents, but shooting would be more targeted, musing what could be better, and I'm quoting now, than to kill the CEO at his own bean counting conference.
It's funny. If this is in Magione's notebook. All right. If he's saying all these things, he's doing all these things. they found him. I mean, if there's fingerprints and stuff all over it, all over the stuff, he has a gun on his person. How can you say there's no evidence he shot the CEO? I'm sure that the fingerprints will probably come back positive as well. The ballistics from the bullets will come back positive towards that ghost gun that he used. And then what is the lawyer going to say? This lawyer is a
This is coming as we are learning more
crap,
about the suspect's life
piece of shit.
beforehand, including a report from the New York Times that Mangione's mother filed a missing persons report about him in San Francisco on November 18th, and also that he stopped communicating with his family and his friends about 6 months ago. Yet apparently no one who knew him and knew that he was missing recognized him in those surveillance photos that have been plastered everywhere for the last several days. Tonight, that's prompting a whole new set of questions about what was happening in Mangione's life behind those smiling photos that we've now seen on social media, and also questions about an injury that he suffered in 2023 and what happened to him ever since. My lead source tonight is the attorney who is representing Luigi Mangione, Thomas Dickey, and it's great to have you here, sir. I just want to say thank you. I know this has been moving very quickly, and you said earlier you were retained today to represent him. And so can you just tell us, how's your client doing in jail tonight?
Well, Caitlin, thank you for having me. As I've been saying all day, if you put yourself, I tell everybody to use their common sense. Here we have a young man who is incarcerated without bail, as you alluded to. And apparently he's going to be charged with murder in the state of New York. If you use your common sense, I'm sure he's, it's concerning. That's all I can say.
Look how belligerent he is.
Well, you've been an attorney for decades. What did you make of the way he went into court earlier, that outburst that he had?
I'm still analyzing that. I was
good.
Actually on the other side of the wall when he came in, so I didn't hear all that statement. I've been busy all day, so I haven't had a chance to analyze that. So, I'm not going to comment on something, unfortunately, until I can have a chance to hear that in detail and break that down.
Well, being on the other side of it, you were inside that courtroom, of course, and we learned about what happened in there. You're fighting extradition for him to New York. Why are you fighting that? It seems like it's inevitable that he will be sent to New York.
He's going to be sent to New York.
Well, that may be, but again, the Constitution, and I know keep bringing up that word today, lest we forget about that. But the Constitution gives you certain rights, and we need to make informed decision. And the law permits, and the Constitution permits, that somebody in Luigi's position has the opportunity to look at evidence, make sure the government follows through a process, and that's what we're doing. So, again, I've been in this case probably about 12, 14 hours, maybe whatever, give or take, and I haven't seen a speck of evidence at all. I argued today at the extradition hearing. I still haven't received details about the charges that he's facing in New York. I heard your introduction and looking into that. But so we as lawyers need to make informed decisions, and we need to get our hands and our eyes on some evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the charges right here. It's murder, a loaded firearm, 2 counts of that, a forged instrument, and criminal possession of a weapon as well. I mean, those are the charges from New York. I mean, so as you're fighting extradition, you're not actually arguing that the authorities in New York have the wrong guy, are you?
Well, I haven't seen any evidence that they have the right guy. I can tell you that much. So I don't know anything about that. There's identification issues that are present, and so I don't. Like I said, this is why I need to look at some things. They got the right guy. Come on,
man.
They need to convince me. I try to remind people.
Man.
And it's a shame that we forget about this presumption of innocence that the Constitution gives all Americans. And people don't worry about the Constitution until they're facing charges or accusations against them. Then trust me, Caitlin, the Constitution matters.
And of course it does. And
yes,
I know you highlighted earlier and emphasized innocent until proven guilty. I understand that. But I read the police report from when he was arrested. He initially gave them a false name. And then when they asked to confirm his identity, he said that he shouldn't have lied to them about it. I mean, that would seem to be that they do.
Man, his lawyer is clueless, man. Like, I'm actually surprised CNN is actually reporting facts for a change.
Have the right person, given that he had a gun on him, he had a fake New Jersey ID that he used to check into a hostel. I mean, is none of that enough for you personally to know that they
Look
do
at
have
all
the
that.
right guy?
Come on.
Well, first of all, that's a piece of paper. I know you probably can't tell, but I'm 5'6". I could write on that I'm 6'5" and all this other kind of stuff. So that's written on paper. What's nice about the law is we'll have a hearing. I can cross-examine witnesses and find out, look at
This
reports
guy's
and find out what they
trash,
have
man.
and what they don't have. So again, that's just written on a criminal complaint. Without getting into the details of that,
You're gonna see all that
I don't
shit,
see
and then
any
what are you gonna
evidence
say?
of a forgery. They're going to have to at least prove a prima facie case, which is less than the beyond a reasonable doubt. But I need to see these things. Right now, I have.
Get out of here, man. This is what's gonna happen. They're gonna plead. He's gonna go to trial. He's gonna see everything. Everything's gonna stack up against this dude,
One piece.
and all this is gonna play into. He's gonna claim some sort of mental incapacity, insanity defense, whatever it is. Obviously, you could tell he's lost his brain. There's something wrong with his brain if he's dealing with brain fog and all that shit. All right, anyhow, I have enough of this shit. This guy is trash. All right, he's trying to fight extradition and all this stuff. He's gonna be. I'll be surprised if they go soft on this guy in New York. Actually, I wouldn't be because New York is soft anyways, and I'm sure they're not going to prosecute him to the fullest because that's how New York is. They're soft. But we're going to see what happens though. But I think insanity or some sort of mental related plea. Anyhow, enough of this shit. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Other than that, subscribe to the bell icon on the daily. I'll see you next one.